Okay, I'm not sure how the audio is going to come out here, so I'm going to just wing this. If it doesn't sound good, I'm going to re-record. Not that you'll know. Okay, so two things I learned. This is my second gouache painting for Drawlloween that I'm going to be working on. So one of the things I learned is if I put the tape down, I think I said this in my last video, it'll pick up some of the red material, the transfer material. The only thing is it's hard to see sometimes on this tape. So because this tape is translucent, what I realized I could do is just draw with pen around the edges of where I need to cut, and it made it very much easier on my life. And it doesn't pull up, if you don't push really hard, it won't pull up the red, and I'll still be able to see it fairly easy. Now, of course, some of it's going to come off when I start to wet the paper to paint it, so, but it's fine. I have my sketch that I've transferred. This is my sketch. You can see the lines from it because I transferred it onto the paper. And so the first thing I did now is lay down some water so that the paper was ready to absorb the paint, and as soon as I would put down the color, it would spread easy and I can get a nice flat background color. So I went with yellow ochre. I think that it was going to go really well with the palette I was planning on using, which was purples, greens, blue, because blue and orange are complementary and purple and yellow are complementary. It kind of teeters on being complementary with both of those colors in the painting anyway. I wish I left more of it showing. I did get a little matte finish, a little flat color more toward the end rather than a lot of translucency. I should have kept a little more translucency in the water. But I'm not gonna lie, this was so much fun for me to kind of experiment. The first painting I did, I was scared. This one was more about trying to figure out how I was gonna be able to use gouache. Because there are many ways to use it, I think I put so much pressure on myself to use it this one way that I saw because I thought it was awesome. But that's just not for me, I guess. I think I'm more of a person who kind of has to experiment and just kind of do things to see what works best for them. I did not mix enough color for this swamp creature, so it looks a little blotchy. I end up painting over it and adding lots of colors and stuff, so it's not really a big deal. But I like the idea of being able to kind of put things down and let them blend a little and getting those kind of splotchy areas, because that actually might be better in the end for me than the idea of that flat color that I was initially going for. Now, there are a lot of areas I painted over several times, and you'll see, including her bathing suit in the background. But again, that's just all part of me figuring out what colors are correct, what shades are correct. Should have done a better color study. And I think if I can get out of my head a little bit and decide that, okay, this doesn't have to be perfect to be finished, then I'll probably get a lot more accomplished. Now, if you take a look at her hand, it's awful. When I was actually putting the paint down, the brush I was using was kind of larger, and her fingers became more like sausages really quickly. I lost a lot of that nice angularity that I had when I drew her hand. And had I realized it now, I would have been covering over it and fixing it while I was doing the water. But I totally space cadetted and ended up fixing it later. But going back to the water, actually, this was one of those kind of happy accidents because of the underpainting. I left a lot of that area translucent underneath, and I actually think it was really pretty. And this is where the legume part comes in of the prompt. I noticed I got a lot of feedback on my Instagram about people didn't realize what was the black legume part of it, because in my sketch it was very subtle. But the idea is that he is on Legume Lake, which I should have put a little sign. I didn't think about it until after. And then once I was putting it on the board, I was like, well, I think once it's colored, it'll look fine. So I didn't put the little sign in. But he's supposed to be kind of wading through like a river of beans or a lake of beans. And then, I don't know, I thought it was funny, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, in the long run, this is really about me and kind of doing something to better myself. Like I was saying in the other video, I want to really get character designs, focusing on that. I want to focus on compositions. And honestly, I want to just have fun, especially with these paintings. Like I want them to be something where I'm learning and enjoying myself rather than it's torturous and, you know, nothing should be torture. If you're finding yourself like agonizing over the prompts and you can't figure anything out, don't do it. It's not going to be fun for you. It's going to be torture. So aside from, I think, her bathing suit and a couple other areas changing several times, her skin tone changed several times as well, because every time I put it down, I thought, oh, this is perfect. And then I couldn't get the right brightness on her face. So then I kept changing that, and then it didn't look the same. And I cut out a lot of it just because I didn't think you really wanted to see me paint over something 27,000 times. But it changed a lot. A lot. This is one of the nice things I like about gouache, is that it can be used opaquely as well as translucent, because as I go in now and add in some details, I can paint right over those dark areas. And sometimes I don't mind it lifting back up. Like, look, this is a perfect example in her hair. I wanted to get a little highlight on there. I had painted over it a couple times. And actually, when I go through, I'm going to be outlining it. When I outlined her hair, I used such a dark color, and I kind of used a thicker outline than I probably should have. And again, that goes back to me using a thicker brush. But what ended up being kind of neat is that I could go back in later with a lighter color and cover over it, like paint right over some of those areas and kind of thin out the outline, and it still looked really nice. I'm definitely not perfect at this by any means. I'm very far from it at this point. But I really do like that outline of the swamp creature. I felt like the color was perfect. Oh, here's me finally fixing the hand. But then when I did the outline for her skin, I wasn't 100% crazy about it. I think I went over it a few times because I felt like I didn't use the right color, whereas the color on the creature really makes him pop and really makes, I tried to do like little scale action, and this is so different from my norm, like the way I'm used to drawing. So I definitely find that practice is going to make me much better. And that goes with anything. So if you're giving gouache a chance and you're not crazy about how it's coming out, finish the piece, let it just be, move on to another one. Like, I can definitely say the witch didn't come out 100% like I liked her in the last piece, like I would have liked to have seen her, but that's okay. I mean, this one also didn't come out exactly like I would have wanted it, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. I'm having a good time and I'm learning, and that's really all that matters. So I'm starting to pull the tape off, and it really does give that sense of crispness. I did get a little, you probably see off to the left, there was a little boo-boo, but that's okay. This made it feel really poster-like, and that's kind of what I was going for. Where I think it may not be perfect is she's very light in her outline compared to the swamp creature, but he is kind of the focal point, so maybe that worked out in my favor. And I'm going to go back in a minute and kind of clean up some of the thicker lines in her hair to kind of bring down that. I thought it was just really thick. It didn't look right to me. But I don't know. I'm sure I could go back in and do 1,000 more things, but for the most part, I'm happy, and all a learning process. I'm really enjoying myself. I want to open myself up to be a little more versatile with other mediums and see what I can accomplish from that. Well, that's going to wrap up this video. I definitely learned a lot of things. And I hope maybe it inspired you to try something new. And if you did and you want to show me, you can send me your Instagram link down below. If you have any suggestions, because you're a gouache expert, I'd love to hear them. But either way, I guess I'll see you back at the drawing board.